are on the air. Good evening, folks. I'm your host, Steve News.
And I'm Jenica Journal.
First up on the docket is Kennedy and Khrushchev's recent speeches concerning the nuclear crisis we have on our hands right now.
Good evening, my fellow citizens.
This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. But it is difficult to settle or even discuss these problems in an atmosphere of intimidation. That is why this latest Soviet threat, or any other threat which is made independently or in response to our actions this week, must and will be met with determination. Any hostile move anywhere in the world against the safety and freedom of peoples to whom we are committed, including in particular the brave people of West Berlin, will be met by whatever action is needed. Finally, I want to say a few words to the captive people of Cuba, to whom the speech is being directly carried by special radio facilities. I speak to you as a friend, as one who knows of your deep attachment to your fatherland, as one who shares your aspirations for liberty and justice for all. These new weapons are not in your interest. They contribute nothing to your peace and well-being. They can only undermine it. But this country has no wish to cause you to suffer or to impose any system upon you. We know that your lives and land are being used as pawns by those who deny your freedom. I have directed for the following 6 steps to be put into action immediately. 1. To stop the buildup of offensive war materials in Cuba. 2. To keep Cuba under close surveillance. 3. Maintain policy that any nuclear missile launched from Cuba into the Western Hemisphere is an attack against the United States by the USSR. 4. To reinforce our base in Guantanamo as a necessary precaution. 5. To have an emergency meeting of the Security Council to discuss protocol on how to deal with this threat against world peace. 6. I call upon Chairman Khrushchev to halt and eliminate this clandestine, reckless, and provocative threat to the world and to stable relations between our two nations. I call upon him further to abandon this course of world domination and to join in a historic effort to end the perilous arms race and to transform the history of man.
Разрешите, господа делегаты, мне несколько ответить.
A violation of the pledges given by the United States of America could only be judged as perfidy. It would gravely undermine good faith and would thus make the possibility of reaching agreement harder. From this, it is obvious that the government of the United States of America, if it does not firmly adhere to the agreement which has been reached and aggravates the situation, peace may hang by a more slender thread than at the time of last year's Caribbean crisis. If this happens, we shall be obliged to carry out our international duty, our pledges to the fraternal Cuban people, and come to their aid. We declare with the utmost gravity, don't play with fire, gentlemen, and don't play with people's destinies. We consider that a normalization of the Caribbean situation could be achieved on the basis of the implementation of the 5 points put forward by Fidel Castro, Prime Minister of the Revolutionary Government of the Republic of Cuba. The just demands of the Cuban people are supported by the Soviet Union by all socialist countries and by all progressive mankind.
Американского империализма.
Let's see what some local folk think about this. David?
David Brinkley here. Sir, do you think JFK is fit to be president in such a vile time as this?
Well, let me tell you what, David. I believe that we have elected him to be our commander-in-chief, and in this predicament with the Soviets, you know, if John thinks that we should nuke the Soviets, then God, I'm all for it.
That is all we have for today, folks. See you tomorrow.
From ABC News, Steve News,
And Jenica Journal.
signing off.
We have just received word that David Brinkley has some breaking news for us. Word has just come from the Pentagon that the United States has failed an attack on the Russian nuclear arsenal in Cuba. We will have to see what happens next. Back to you, Jenica.
We are still gathering intel at this time, but JFK gave a speech just moments ago. Let's go to that. My fellow Americans, with a heavy heart and a necessary fulfillment of my oath of office, I have ordered, and the United States Air Force has now carried out, military operations with conventional weapons only to remove a major nuclear weapons buildup from the soil of Cuba. Let me assure you, this mission did result in the removal of multiple high-range missiles from the area, and it pains me to inform you that some United States Air Force missiles were compromised, and Cuba maintains a stronghold on a large nuclear arsenal. Further military action has been authorized to ensure that this threat is fully removed and not restored.
Those are some heavy words from our president. We will let you know when we get more information on the subject.
Castro, on the other hand, has responded aggressively to the failed attack.
The attack from the Americans is a showing of cowardice and evil. They have no regard for human life and will be punished for this unjust act. You can be sure that we will resist with determination, whatever the case. The Cuban people's morale is extremely high, and the people will confront aggression heroically. Down with the United States!
Breaking news, a nuclear missile has just landed in Miami, causing thousands of deaths, hundreds of thousands of deaths. We are not sure of the exact number yet, but it is a devastation. We will keep informing you as we get more information at this time.
This is a dark day for America, and dark times are ahead. We are told that an estimated 100,000 people are already dead from being inside the blast radius. If you live near the Miami area, please evacuate immediately, because radiation poisoning will spread quickly. Please find safety as nuclear war is beginning.
This just coming in. JFK has made an official statement on the nuclear bombing of Miami.
My fellow Americans, today is a day that will live in infamy. The great city of Miami, Florida, has been the target of a nuclear attack by the USSR through their nuclear buildup in Cuba. In times of tragedy, the great nation of the United States must come together and unite against the terrors of communism. As of today, it is my humble duty as President of the United States to declare war against the nations of Cuba and the Soviet Union. Although this declaration of war is necessary, we still strive for limited destruction and will be willing to reach a civil agreement with the nations we are now at war with.
We got some breaking news for you. The United States has just carried out a nuclear attack on Havana, Cuba, absolutely decimating the city. Already an estimation of around 1 million has already perished from the immediate blast, with many more expected to die from the radiation. The attack looks just to be the start of a devastating nuclear war. We have just gotten word that the nation's capital has been nuked by the Russians. JFK and many other crucial government officials are dead.
With a fellow citizen in the streets of New York. Sir, how do you feel about these recent bombings in the Capitol?
Nothing scares me. I ain't scared of nothing. Nothing really.
Oh, no, no, no.